Merci d'être venu. En congédiant une grande partie de son cabinet, Justin Trudeau admet qu'après 8 ans de criminalité et violence, de coûts inflationnistes et exorbitants, de logements qui a doublé en prix et de divisions partout dans le pays, que son gouvernement est un grand échec. Oui, je le remercie pour avoir congédié certains membres incompétents de son gouvernement qui ont brisé l'économie, notre système de justice et le logement pour une grande partie de la population. Mais ça démontre encore qu'après 8 ans de Justin Trudeau, les Canadiens sont en train de souffrir. Il veut les distraire de la souffrance qu'il a causée après 8 ans. Parce qu'après 8 ans de Justin Trudeau, la vie coûte plus cher. Ces déficits inflationnistes ont doublé la dette nationale en ajoutant plus à notre dette que tous les autres premiers ministres ensemble. Ça a gonflé le coût de la vie. Et maintenant, après qu'il a promis que les taux d'intérêt allaient rester bas, ces taux augmentent plus rapidement dans l'histoire monétaire de notre pays. Les gens ont peur de perdre leur maison. J'ai rencontré ce matin une mère de famille qui a perdu son entreprise familiale parce qu'elle a cru Justin Trudeau quand il a dit que les taux d'intérêt allaient rester bas. Mais les déficits inflationnistes de ce premier ministre a forcé la Banque du Canada à augmenter les taux d'intérêt 20 fois plus élevés qu'ils ne l'étaient il y a juste un an. Après 8 ans de Justin Trudeau, les gens ont peur de perdre leur maison. Après 8 ans de Justin Trudeau, 1 sur 5 Canadiens manque des repas chaque journée pour pouvoir payer l'épicerie. Et 1,5 million vont aux banques alimentaires pour se nourrir. Il y a certaines qui vont à ces banques alimentaires afin de chercher l'aide médicale à mourir. Non pas parce qu'ils sont malades, mais parce qu'ils ont faim. Le prix de nourriture augmente plus rapidement que dans 40 ans. Il y a des aînés qui doivent choisir entre la chaleur pour leur maison et la nourriture pour leur famille. C'est ça la conséquence d'une taxe carbone qui augmente le coût de l'essence, de diesel. Et quand on met une taxe sur les fermiers qui produisent la nourriture et les camionneurs qui transportent la nourriture, c'est une taxe sur tous ceux et celles qui achètent la nourriture. C'est pour ça que les Canadiens ont faim après 8 ans de Justin Trudeau. Après 8 ans de Justin Trudeau, le travail ne paie plus. Vous le gagnez, il l'impose. Il enlève votre chèque de paie avec ces taxes qui augmentent davantage sur les travailleurs. Après 8 ans de Justin Trudeau, nos immigrants ne peuvent pas travailler dans leur profession parce qu'ils n'ont aucun test pour prouver leur qualification. Après 8 ans de Justin Trudeau, le coût de logement a doublé. Le paiement hypothécaire nécessaire a doublé. Le loyer a doublé. Et le premier versement nécessaire pour acheter la maison moyenne a doublé. Il y a 8 ans, c'était facile d'acheter une maison. Les jeunes de 24 ans pouvaient le faire. Et maintenant, le coût a explosé. En fait, c'est entre 50 et 100% plus élevé le prix d'une maison ici au Canada qu'aux États-Unis. Et le Canada a les prix de logement les plus élevés dans le G7 après 8 ans de Justin Trudeau et la bureaucratie qu'il finance qui empêche la construction. Après 8 ans de Justin Trudeau, on voit la criminalité, le chaos, les drogues et le désordre dans nos rues. Je suis à Timmins. Ce matin, j'étais à un aréna de hockey. Un propriétaire d'une petite entreprise, ce matin, il a remarqué que son entreprise a été volée par un criminel. Et c'est normal ici à Timmins maintenant, des gens qui se font attaquer, voler. Et une fille s'est fait poignarder par une seringue de drogue dans un parc. Ce n'était pas le cas il y a 8 ans. Ça, c'est 8 ans de Justin Trudeau et c'est politique de libération sous caution et libération conditionnelle pour des criminels récidivistes. Ces tentatives de donner les opioïdes gratuitement ont explosé la crise d'opioïdes et 30 000 personnes ont perdu leur vie à cause des surdoses pendant 8 ans de Justin Trudeau. Ce qui est bizarre de sa décision avec le cabinet aujourd'hui, c'est que les ministres qui ont fait le pire travail gardent leur poste. La ministre de l'Inflation, Chrystia Freeland, elle est toujours en place. C'est elle qui a dit que les déficits mettent de l'huile sur le feu inflationniste 2 semaines avant l'introduction d'un budget qui a ajouté 60 milliards de dollars d'huile sur l'inflation. Donc, elle aurait dû être congédiée. Le ministre de taxe carbone, Stéphane Guilbeault, qui veut augmenter les prix de l'essence de 61 sous le litre, il garde sa place aussi. Et finalement, le ministre le plus incompétent, le ministre qui est responsable pour les coûts de la vie qui explosent, pour la taxe carbone qui augmente, pour le doublement de coûts de logement, pour la criminalité et les drogues dans nos rues, ce ministre est Justin Trudeau. Quand l'équipe a un échec, il ne faut pas juste congédier l'équipe, il faut congédier le capitaine, et c'est Justin Trudeau. Et c'est lui qui doit être congédié et remplacé avec un nouveau premier ministre. Un premier ministre qui va rebâtir le Canada avec le gros bon sens. Et c'est ce que je vais faire. On va ramener les prix plus bas en éliminant le taxe carbone pour réduire le coût de l'essence, de chauffage et de nourriture. On va contrôler les dépenses et éliminer le gaspillage pour équilibrer le budget et réduire l'inflation et les taux d'intérêt. On va réduire les impôts pour amener les chèques de paie plus gros et pour rendre le travail encore payant ici au Canada. On va enlever le paperasserie pour permettre la construction des grands projets. On va donner le feu vert aux projets verts, comme l'hydroélectricité et l'énergie nucléaire, afin de combattre le changement climatique avec l'énergie plus abordable et plus verte pour l'avenir. On va inciter des municipalités de permettre une augmentation de 15 % dans la construction de maisons pour rendre les appartements et les maisons abordables encore. On va ramener la sécurité dans nos rues en mettant des criminels récidivistes en prison et non pas sur la rue, et en donnant un traitement et une réhabilitation aux gens qui ont une dépendance. Ça va donner l'espoir à ces gens-là. C'est ça le gros bon sens. C'est ce dont nous avons besoin. Et c'est exactement ce que je vais livrer en tant que Premier ministre du Canada après un vrai remaniement du cabinet dans les prochaines élections. Thank you very much. It is an honor to be here with my friend Eric Malello, who's our deputy for Northern Ontario. Today, by firing or moving most of his cabinet, Justin Trudeau has admitted that after 8 years of inflationary spending that has exploded the cost of living, 8 years of carbon taxes that drive up your gas, heat, and groceries, 8 years of catch and release policies that make our streets dangerous, and 8 years of doubling the cost of housing, his government is a failure. It's funny, though. The one minister who was responsible for these failures didn't get moved, and that minister is Justin Trudeau. After 8 years of Justin Trudeau, everything costs more. He's doubled our national debt, printed money, and caused the worst inflation in a generation. That has meant a major real pay cut for Canadians. Seniors are choosing between eating and heating. 1.5 million Canadians are going to a food bank, and 1 in 5 are skipping meals outright because they can't afford the price of food. After 8 years of Trudeau, his carbon tax is rising. At 14 cents a litre, it already makes gas, heat, and groceries more expensive and kills jobs. Now, he wants to quadruple it to 61 cents a litre, which will mean many people will have to turn off the heat in the wintertime in towns like Timmins, where it gets cold and they have no choice but to heat their homes. Some people will go hungry because when you tax the fuel of the farmer who makes the food and the trucker who ships the food, you tax the food itself. These costs are falling on the backs of the working poor and our seniors who can't afford to pay. And after 8 years, hard work no longer pays. You make it, and Trudeau takes it, with higher taxes that punish hard work. After 8 years of Trudeau, housing costs have doubled. The rent has doubled. Needed down payments have doubled. Monthly mortgage payments have doubled. After Trudeau promised rates would stay low, he said, "Don't worry, borrow up a storm. It's free." And then his massive deficits caused an inflationary spiral that forced the Bank of Canada to raise interest rates to 20 times higher than they were just 18 months ago, the fastest and most violent increase in interest rates in the history of the Bank of Canada have happened since Trudeau promised low rates. Today, I met a Timmins woman who was in tears because she believed Justin Trudeau when he said that she could take out a small business loan for her family company. She believed that the rates would be low, that the Prime Minister would not lie to her about that. And then suddenly an uppercut. Rates shot up, and she lost everything. Canadians across the country, after 8 years of Trudeau, are hanging on by their fingernails, just trying to survive and make those deadly payments on their outrageously high debt levels. That's 8 years of Trudeau that has led many to despair in tent cities. This is a new problem in Canada. We didn't have tent cities 8 years ago, at least not in very many places. Now every town, every major city has a place where people now live in tents, where crime, chaos, drugs, and disorder is worse than ever. And that disorder is made worse by Trudeau's catch and release policies that allow repeat violent offenders, some of them guilty of hundreds of crimes, to go back on the streets within hours of being arrested. This morning I met with a small business owner who had his sports shop burglarized for the 4th time in 2 years. And a little girl here in Timmins stepped on and was stabbed by a dirty narcotics needle in a school playground. It wasn't like this in Timmins. In fact, it wasn't like this in Eric's hometown of Kenora, where he used to leave the door unlocked 8 years ago. But now, many are scared just to walk in their streets. You know, it's funny. Justin Trudeau has fired a lot of ministers today, admitted his government is broken. But the ones he didn't fire the Minister of Inflation, Chrystia Freeland, who weeks after saying government deficits drive inflation, decided to introduce $60 billion more in government deficits. He didn't fire the Minister of the Carbon Tax, Stéphane Guilbeault, who wants to hit people with another 61 cents a litre. And he did not fire the one minister who is most responsible, the one minister who has presided over the record increase in costs, the doubling of housing prices, the growing crime and chaos in our street, the doubling of housing costs so that nobody can afford a place to live. That minister is the Prime Minister, and he needs to be fired and replaced with a new common sense conservative Prime Minister. And that Prime Minister will be me. And I will be honored to serve the people of Canada. And we will build this country up. We will have a government that works for the people who work. We'll bring home lower prices by axing the carbon tax to lower gas, heat, and grocery bills. We'll cap spending and cut waste to balance the budget in order to bring down inflation and interest rates. We'll bring home powerful paychecks with lower income taxes that reward hard work, and by removing government gatekeepers so that our brilliant immigrants can take a test and prove they're qualified to get to work as doctors, nurses, and other high-paid professionals. We'll remove the gatekeepers to bring home mining and resource jobs back to this country so that our people and not foreign dictators get the benefits. We'll bring homes people can afford by incentivizing municipalities to free up land, speed up and lower the cost of building permits. We'll require cities boost building permits by 15% per year. We'll require every federally funded transit station be pre-approved for high-density housing around and even on top so youth and seniors can live right next to the bus or train. We'll sell off 6,000 federal buildings and thousands of acres of unused federal land to build. We'll support our tradespeople to get more of those builders building again. We'll ensure that newcomers to Canada can get jobs building homes as well. We're going to bring homes that people can afford again in neighborhoods where they feel safe. We will end Trudeau's catch and release and bring jail, not bail. Jail, not bail for repeat violent offenders. Instead of harassing licensed law-abiding, trained and tested firearms owners, we're going to go after the real violent criminals, putting them in jail and putting the money into reinforcing our border to keep the guns and the drugs from coming illegally into our country. We'll stop giving out tax-funded drugs and we'll start giving treatment and recovery to bring our loved ones home drug-free. That's the hopeful future we have. We're going to transform the hurt that Trudeau has caused into the hope that Canadians need, based on the common sense of the common people united for our common home. Your home, my home, our home. Let's bring it home. I now welcome your questions.
Thank you so much. We'll now take questions from the floor, followed by 5 questions from our call-in.
Bonjour, Ezra Cousineau de Radio-Canada Nord de l'Ontario.
Merci.
Voilà, dans le fond, ce que j'aimerais savoir, est-ce que vous pensez, est-ce que le fait que le Premier ministre Trudeau dise mettre l'accent sur l'économie, selon vous, est-ce que ça prouve que votre message résonne auprès des Canadiens?
Oui. Oui, absolument. M. Trudeau essaie de distraire du fait qu'il a brisé notre économie. Justin Trudeau a causé la pire inflation depuis 40 ans. En fait, le prix d'épicerie augmente plus rapidement que dans toute notre vie. Et c'est Justin Trudeau qui a causé ça quand il a mis une taxe sur les fermiers qui produisent la nourriture et les camionneurs qui transportent la nourriture. Ils mettent une taxe sur tous ceux et celles qui achètent la nourriture. Sa ministre, Mme Freeland, a avoué que les déficits mettent de l'huile sur le feu inflationniste et 2 semaines plus tard, elle a ajouté un autre 60 milliards de dollars d'huile sur le feu inflationniste. Et c'est les Canadiens qui vivent avec la chaleur de cette inflation. C'est Justin Trudeau qui a causé l'augmentation de taxes, de dettes, d'inflation et les taux d'intérêt. Et seulement, oui, il peut congédier certains ministres, mais c'est lui qui doit être congédié et remplacé avec un premier ministre de gros bon sens qui va éliminer la taxe carbone, équilibrer le budget pour réduire les impôts, les taxes, l'inflation et les taux d'intérêt. Merci. Yes, Justin Trudeau is admitting that he broke the economy, but he's trying to blame it on 7 or 8 ministers that he fired today. But it's him that gave us the 40-year highs in inflation by doubling our national debt and printing money to pay for it. It's him that's brought in a massive carbon tax that he wants to hike to 61 cents a litre, not just on our heat and gas, but on the farmers who make the food, the truckers who ship the food, and therefore all who buy the food. It's Justin Trudeau who kept in place a minister of inflation, Chrystia Freeland, someone who admits that deficits pour fuel on the inflationary fire right before she introduced $60 billion more inflationary fuel on that fire. Justin Trudeau has, the good news, here's the good news. Our economy wasn't like this before Justin Trudeau, and it won't be like this after he's gone. Thank you.
Okay, we'll now take questions from the phone line. We'll start with David Baxter from Global. If you can please unmute yourself.
There we go. Can you hear me?
Yes.
All right, perfect. Sorry, yeah, let's mute my TV too, so we don't have crossover from the cabinet ministers doing their scrum as well. Just one cabinet move that's been making raising some eyebrows. Bill Blair taking over defense from Minister Anand, given her mandate to bring forward cultural change in the military following the sexual misconduct scandals. Just what are your thoughts on that move, and do you have confidence in Minister Blair to bring forward that cultural change?
No, and I know that Justin Trudeau has in the past fired strong women from his cabinet. He, of course, pushed out Jody Wilson-Raybould because she was speaking up against his corruption. So perhaps there's another story behind this one. But what is clear is that Justin Trudeau has failed our military. He's left it weaker. He's wasted money by canceling and then later having to admit that he was wrong and restarting the F-35 purchase at a cost of billions of dollars and many years. Maybe that or other wrongdoing and incompetence was something that Ms. Anand was pointing out, and that's why she was thrown out. This is more disrespect for women in Justin Trudeau's cabinet, when in reality he should take responsibility for all that he's broken, and he should fire himself.
Thank you. We'll now take a question from Stephanie Taylor of the Canadian Press.
Hi, can you hear me all right?
Yes.
Hi, I'm wondering, are you glad to see Marco Mendicino removed from the role of public safety? And as well, when was the last time either yourself or House Leader Andrew Scheer heard from Minister LeBlanc on a foreign interference inquiry?
Thank you for the question. Yes, I am glad to see Marco Mendicino out. But, you know, he was just telling a lot of lies on behalf of Justin Trudeau. He lied about the use of the Emergencies Act, claiming police told him to do it. They did not. He lied when he said that Trudeau wasn't going to ban hunting rifles. Well, we then saw that there's a list of about 300 pages of hunting rifles Trudeau planned to ban. And in fact, Trudeau went on to admit that he was banning hunting rifles. He lied about his knowledge of the government's transfer of Paul Bernardo out of a maximum security penitentiary, and he lied about the fact that it was the Liberals' own law that had caused that unacceptable and traumatizing transfer of this monster. But I think he was telling those lies on behalf of Justin Trudeau. So it's all well and good to fire one incompetent minister, but it's Justin Trudeau who should have been fired. The other reason why Trudeau should be fired is because he's allowed foreign controlled police stations in our country. We don't have enough police of our own protecting our communities, and yet a foreign dictatorship is allowed to open police stations right under Trudeau's nose without any consequences whatsoever. Trudeau was aware that the dictatorship in Beijing interfered in multiple elections to help him win, and he did nothing because he benefited from it. As for the inquiry, we gave suggested names of independent and highly qualified, nonpartisan potential commissioners who could oversee that investigation. We gave a proposed mandate and timeline, and we've given that all to Justin Trudeau, and he's not come back with a final answer. I understand occasionally we get a phone call or the odd email with an incomplete update, but we think Justin Trudeau is delaying. He's delaying an inquiry because he doesn't want the truth about what he knew of Beijing's interference to come out, and possibly because he doesn't want to fix it before the next election, because, of course, he's benefited from it in 2 previous elections enough. We need to bring a public inquiry to get to the bottom of it, to come up with a plan to stop it, to bring in a foreign influence registry, to bring in criminal sanctions to anyone who facilitated foreign police stations on our soil. We need to protect our proud and patriotic Canadians of Chinese origin from abuse and harassment, and we need to bring home control of our democracy.
Thank you. The next question will come from Andrew Lawton of True North.
Good afternoon, Mr. Poilievre. My question is on immigration. As you know, Canada is on track to have about 500,000 new immigrants to the country by 2025. And I'm wondering if you think this is sustainable and if a Conservative government led by you would continue that trend and would be satisfied with that 500,000 a year number.
Justin Trudeau has broken our immigration system. We see this on the streets of Toronto, where refugees are living on the pavement. It wasn't like this 8 years ago. When refugees came to Canada, we had them sponsored by charities, churches, mosques, synagogues, other nonprofits to give them homes, help them write resumes, and get them fast work permits so that they could get jobs and paychecks. We see it in the new movement online of immigrants who are saying they're going back because they can't afford to live here in Canada. After 8 years of Trudeau, many immigrants feel like they're better off where they came from because the costs and the crime that Trudeau's policies have unleashed make this country unlivable for newcomers and for those who've been here a long time. I want to get back to common sense immigration. The numbers should be driven by the number of employers who have job vacancies that they cannot fill with Canadians, by the number of charities that want to sponsor refugees, and by the families that can reunite and support their loved ones here, not by egotistical targets that are designed to give Justin Trudeau a vanity project. We need to get back to competent immigration. By the way, we need to expand housing construction. It's all well and good to think that you can increase the population by 1 million people in a year, but where are we going to house everybody? We now have, last year, we built fewer homes than we built in 1972. Think about that. In 1972, our population was 22 million, and we built 250,000 homes. Last year, our population was 40 million, and we built 219,000 homes. So we have nearly double the population, and we're building fewer homes. Is it any wonder why we have a homelessness crisis, why 9 in 10 young people believe they'll never be able to afford a home, why we have 70-year-old nurses who are living in vans, after 8 years of Justin Trudeau's total incompetence on everything from immigration to housing to health care? Our country is falling to pieces. I will put it back together with common sense immigration, common sense health care, common sense housing policies that get things built. Thank you.
Thank you. The next question will come from Ian Bailey of the Globe and Mail.
Mr. Poilievre, a question on a different subject. Can you confirm that your leadership campaign paid $37,000 in legal bills for whistleblower Debbie Jourdain, and explain why this was an appropriate use of funds donated by your supporters to help win the Conservative leadership last year?
I don't have those numbers in front of me, but Debbie Jourdain is a courageous whistleblower. She is a widow of a former Canadian Forces member who was speaking up against wrongdoing at great personal peril to herself, and it is entirely appropriate to defend whistleblowers. And when I am Prime Minister, we will defend all whistleblowers so that they have the courage and the freedom they can have the courage, but also the protection to speak out against wrongdoing without fear that they will be destroyed by legal intimidation coming from those with deep pockets.
Thank you. The following question will be the final question. This will be from Stephanie Levitz of the Toronto Star.
Thank you for taking our questions, Mr. Poilievre. Just to follow up on my colleague Ian Bailey there, I take your point about whistleblowers. Why was your campaign in particular the one that ought to have paid this bill?
Because we're the campaign that supports whistleblowers.
Okay, thank you very much. This concludes the press conference.
Thank you very much.